I think people are now craving like the real human connection. There's going to be some backlash to much of this stuff, especially when you think about like AI generated images and likenesses and right. Can you trust what's actually a human or not? Like I think companies that show that they can deliver that real human connection, I think are going to succeed more in the coming years.
Welcome to Season 10 of CX in the Wild. 10 seasons of conversations with the visionaries who are reshaping the world, one experience at a time. This season, we go further into the minds of those who challenge the status quo and reimagine what's possible. And now, the adventure continues.
All right, welcome back to CX in the Wild in Las Vegas. This is our third episode today, but honestly, my favorite episode of the day. I'm here with Raj from QuestionPro. QuestionPro has been a big supporter of ours from the early days, always collaborative, innovative, courageous, daring. And I just say that because anyone who's crazy enough to be trying to support this unplanned adventure that I'm on.
Yeah.
When I think about myself being in the wild of CX, I oftentimes think of you guys as a lifeline. If I ever had to shoot up a flare, I'm hoping you'd be there. So I haven't ever really, I think I've only done one other piece of content with your team a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done a lot of static discussions. I've had you in our newsletters, but really producing more polished content like this. This was a great opportunity. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed you in Brazil last week.
No worries. Yeah.
But
it was good. It was a good time there. Yeah.
So this is going to be a great episode. And so how I start this out every episode is just, if you can just tell the camera, tell the audience who you are and what's keeping you busy these days.
Yeah. So I'm Raj Sivasubramanian. So I'm the Vice President of Journey Management and CS Consulting at QuestionPro. Been in the CX space probably 15 plus years, held a number of roles, both as a practitioner, but then also a consultant. And to me, I think what's keeping me up at night is just trying to help people in this space navigate a lot of the changes that are happening, right? The space is drastically evolving. So tomorrow I'm actually speaking about AI in the space and what's changing and how companies can navigate it. Because I think what's happening is we've lost a lot of the humanity that exists in CX as a space over maybe the last 3 to 4 years. And a lot of the technology that's come out has been good and it's advanced the space, but it's a double-edged sword, right? And then part of what keeps me up is to allow people and to just communicate to people that in customer experience, what's really important is the customer, right? And let's not lose sight of that in our desire to make customers data points, to use AI, to use metrics, right? And that's kind of what I thought about in Brazil as well, is like being still customer centric in this metric centric world that we live in. That's going to get even more dominated by automation and AI.
A lot of technology.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of half-baked technology.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
A lot of promises about better technology, and to your point, not enough about better humans.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is interested me in this space is, and granted, I'm unconventional. I might be out here in the wilderness leading people off cliffs, so no one take my advice for any more than you might think it's worth. But what we've done, because over the last year, we opened a call center in Africa.
Okay.
I did that really as a investigation or exploration on my own to understand this industry better. I don't have any aspirations of building a call center empire or anything, but I did find out really fast that as much as I've been in the CX industry, how little I really understood about humans in the call centers and technology.
Yeah.
And so what I did was skip trying to connect AI to any of the existing systems, and I just put our teams in training programs to use AI themselves to do whatever it is they need to do to get their job done. It's very interesting, and it's been very successful. But I think you're reaching for a different part of the industry and humanity. Where exactly, what human characteristic are you focused on?
I think for the big one for me that I'm trying to talk about is empathy, right? And that's the big human characteristic that matters. And when I talk about empathy, it's a few different ways, but part of it is companies have, and this goes back to the point I made earlier about the way we think about CX now. Companies measure a lot, right? And there's a lot of metrics that exist, and they'll track NPS, they'll track CSAT, they'll track whatever. But then what happens is they're doing it just for show, just so they can go put up a dashboard and say, hey, our NPS is up or down, and we track it this way. But the fact that there is a human on the other side of that's often lost. So to me, the way that people in our space can break through that is you got to bring the customer to life, and you got to create empathy for the customer among senior people in organizations, right? So like the decision makers in organizations are forgetting about the human that's behind all of their customers, right? So that's the customer part of it. But then to your point about the contact center, when we think about that, there's an element of when you call into a support center and you get a real human, and that person can empathize with your issue and can help you. I feel like that's going away due to this whole point, and this is my talk tomorrow about how there's this push for AI, and a lot of the vendors that are here are like AI solutions for automating different aspects of customer support, right? And that's all the rage right now. But in doing that, I think the actual customer experience that people have when they call into a contact center is getting much worse, right? Because a lot of companies are overestimating how good their AI solutions are. But the reality is that in some cases, people still need to speak to a human that can empathize and can help them with their problem, right?
What in your estimation, what is empathy?
What is empathy?
Well, I just ask you because when I think about empathy, wow, I can't believe I'm going to say this. For context, the other day, I asked GPT to run a report on me because I use GPT like continuously all day long.
Yeah.
And so I just said, give me a report on what you know about me. Don't contextualize it. Just report what you think about me. And it said, and I was like, this thing knows me better than it empathizes with me on levels like,
does it though? It doesn't.
My own wife doesn't even empathize with me at this level.
Yeah.
But so is that empathy?
No, because it's not. Because it doesn't truly. I mean, it doesn't truly understand what you're. Or it doesn't care, right? It might feign like it cares, right? But it doesn't actually care about you and what you're going through, and probably have this right to help. I think it's fake empathy, right?
You know, you're right. I guess you're right. It knows
you. It knows what to say.
It knows me, and it knows how I think.
Yeah.
But it doesn't care.
It doesn't care. Yeah. And there's that connection on a human level that you're missing, right? And I think what's happening too is like customers are starting to become numb to it, right? Like you're starting to see and I've heard people say, yes, AI can replace empathy, can do that. But I met a guy, this is like a year ago, I met a guy at an event that was talking about his AI generated son, right? And it was gonna act like an extension of him. And it's gotten and that was a year ago, but it's gotten kind of crazy. But I think people are now craving like the real human connection. I think that's where we're going. There's going to be some backlash to too much of this, especially when you think about like AI generated images and likenesses and right. And like, can you trust what's actually a human or not? Like, I think companies that show that they can deliver that real human connection, I think are going to succeed more in the coming years.
I will.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't disagree with any of it.
Yeah.
You're so right.
So
There is this thing. Are you familiar with this like hippie philosopher guy, Alan Watts?
Nah.
He's in a lot of EDM songs. They play his like philosophy in the backtracks, but he talks about he talks about everything, and he's got some great like sort of trendy ideas nowadays.
Yeah.
But he talks about losing reality through thinking. That thinking, in and of itself, is a great servant,
Yeah.
but a bad master. And like it is that through thinking and science and math
Yeah.
and understanding, we've lost our connection with the real world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I think you're touching on that.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I'm fascinated to hear about this more, Raj, just because I got to tell you, I'm an introvert by nature.
Yeah.
And now that our audience is growing at 50,000 people a month,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Humans are a lot.
He was like, yeah. You have 50,000 people a month that listen to this show?
Our audience is growing at 50,000 people a month now.
Yeah.
We're up over 500,000.
Yeah.
We're on the road in a different country every week now.
Yeah.
I see a lot of humans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. Do
Yeah.
we really need more humans in our lives, Raj?
I'm not saying we need more, right? Yeah, but I think my point is that we don't need more, and when we could use the benefits of AI to make humans more efficient. My point is let's just not lose when a customer wants to speak to a human or needs a human. Like companies should make that available to them, right?
Fair point.
Yeah.
I'm just posing these questions because I do think about, I try to see a lot of perspectives. One of the things I think you'll appreciate is I spoke to a vice president at one of the big analytics firms in, I think it was Berlin.
Okay.
And she, like a vice president of a major business analysis company, and she had this growing philosophy that metrics were inhuman.
Yeah.
And she said just along the lines of what you said, which is when you reduce a person to a number, like an NPS score, she said there's an inhumanity there that she hadn't quite reconciled, like the knowledge versus humanity of it all.
Yeah.
But in your work, how are you exploring this knowledge versus, does knowledge mean inhumanity, or how do you, I understand because to put it in context, you're basically curating the voices of millions, right? And trying to extract.
Yeah, correct. So there has to be a data component of it for sure, because when you got that large number of people, you have to synthesize results and show that, hey, here's an area we need to go fix. You have to be able to have the numbers and the metrics to back that up. But the point is being able to bring the empathetic component of it as well by bringing the customer life is important. So I'll give you an example of this. So when I was, before QuestionPro, I was at Airbnb, and I was responsible for collecting feedback from a lot of our customers, right? And my team was responsible for some of the core metrics that we shared up with the executive team. And there were a number of core things that came up, right? So one of the big pain points for many years, I taught about this in Brazil, is like when an Airbnb guest gets canceled on at the last minute, that's a terrible experience for them, right? So like you book an Airbnb, you book from me, I'm hosting my place, and then all of a sudden the day before the trip, I cancel on you, right? So if that happens in a hotel environment, the hotel can put you up in a new room, but with Airbnb as a marketplace can't control what a host does, right? So we had this problem where hosts were canceling on guests at the last minute, and that ruins your vacation, it ruins your trip, right? And what Airbnb would do when that would happen is they would just give the guest a refund and then maybe a 10% coupon to make up for it, right? But the problem is that wasn't a good enough solution, because if I get canceled on last minute, I can't find another place for the same price, right? Especially if it's in a high tourist destination, it might be 2 or 3 times more. I've already booked flights. Airbnb didn't care. Airbnb just said, all right, we'll give you a refund. We'll even give you 10%. They thought that was generous. And then they would track customer sentiment with that, right? So this would happen enough, and we would see the scores, right? But then what I started doing was we started taking videos of customers having that experience, and we would get videos of customers following their experience with support, where support would tell them, hey, we can't do anything. And we actually had these videos of customers telling us, like, you ruined my vacation. All you can give me is a $10 coupon. I'm out $5,000. Like here I am stranded somewhere, right? And then these videos produce a visceral reaction that when I put these videos in front of people that could actually change the policy, I actually had some success in getting people to change the policy in a way that the data points couldn't. And it was the same story, but when I put the data points in front of them, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But when an executive sees a video of an upset customer explaining, they feel empathy for their issue. But then that combined with the data actually allowed me to go get some policies changed, right? So to your point, like, you need to show that human connection, but you still need that data as well. You need to do both of them together.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I wonder why that is. I wonder why the same statement in text versus video.
Yeah.
Why it's so much more compelling.
Because it produces that emotional connection and it creates empathy.
But is it body language, or are we wired to read things in the presentation that maybe?
Yeah, I think you are.
Maybe it's because we see a reflection of ourselves.
Yeah. You see another human, right? Here's the thing, text could be AI generated, right? Text doesn't have to be from a human, right? But when you're seeing a human and you're seeing that interaction, like, although, I mean, now you can generate video through AI as well, but I think that human connection, I think, creates empathy. So
what's on the horizon for you now? You're in this space. You're technologically scaling human characteristics for the benefit of the business ecosystem.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon for you?
I think for me, it's continuing to hammer that point home, right? And I think I think one of the big things I've been talking about, this idea of being more customer centric, not being metric centric, I've talked about before. And I think for me, it's seeing how that evolves with a lot of the AI enhancements that are coming to this space, right? And so to me, my mission is to make sure that people in the space don't lose sight of that. And things are happening and changing so fast, right? And there's more technologies coming. So it's important to stay aware of them, stay abreast of them. But to me, it's to make sure that we figure out the right way to use these new technologies to empower people versus replacing them, right? So,
yes. Did you see the thing yesterday that was making the rounds about the guy who used the AI lawyer?
No, I didn't see that one. Yeah.
Guy goes in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Uses an avatar. He goes in to represent himself.
Yeah.
Uses an AI avatar, and has the AR avatar, and he does it because I think that he had maybe some sort of affliction on his voice box or something, so he couldn't, and the judge threw it right out. She was like, no.
She recognized that, yeah.
Well, he said, I can't, I have this AI avatar to present my, and she's like, out of here.
Yeah.
And AI can pass the bar, no problem.
Yeah.
Knows the law probably better than...
Yeah, for sure.
And yet, they wouldn't allow it. And there was something about it, part of it is... an attorney has to get a license.
Yeah.
So if there's a repercussion to being a bad actor, you can't punish an AI.
Correct.
There's no corrective behavior.
Yeah.
So in that way, is humanity just punishing people? No, but as you're looking at this, you're going to what is the outcome for you? Like a year from now, is it you incorporate more human voices into the data and analytics? You use fewer ways to describe the human mathematically?
No, I mean, I think to me it's you use the AI to allow companies to see the human component of their customers, right? And so you bring, like, you can use AI technology to scale like video feedback programs, right? You can like the whole point is to get people that are not in customer experience, that are not engaging with customers day to day, to understand their customers better, right? And understand the human component of the customers. And AI can be a tool to do that, right? And then in a context-centered environment like where we are today with all these people here, to ensure that, I think it's important that customer service going forward, we're still able to provide that human connection, right? Because I think that's going to be important. I've seen all these things that say that AI is going to get rid of 80% of customer service jobs in the next couple of years, and that's not going to be the case.
The only people who say that are people who've never sat in a customer service job.
No, exactly. And I think, but AI can help automate things and the boring parts of those jobs, but then customer service jobs and people that are in those roles are going to be more important, right? Because they can bring the human connection to things that matter. Right?
That's definitely true in Africa.
Yeah.
I see that playing out a lot.
But it's funny because I joke about this in some presentations. I'll say tomorrow, like, companies think their AI customer service teams are better than they are, right? Then they're not, right? So it's actually harder now to get a human on the phone than it's ever been, right? I mean, like, and I've had so many experiences in the last couple of weeks or last couple of months, right? Back in the day, you call into you get the IVR bot and you could yell representative or just hit 0 a bunch of times, right? Now I go through endless loops. I have to yell representative a lot. I have to break out the profanity. It takes a lot to get me to a human, right?
I had that happen to me just the other day at the. I'm trying to get my passport updated. I'm like, what? Yeah. How is this IVR system
No,
getting me all the way back to the... I've done
an endless loop.
Yeah. So what's your craziest AI story?
My craziest AI story. Oh, it's not a crazy one, but I have a good one. I talk about it a little bit tomorrow. But have you ridden Waymos? Have you done those, the self-driving cars? I don't know. Where do you live? I don't know where you
I'm all over the world now, but I do see those a lot.
Have you ridden one yet?
No.
Oh, you should. It's a good experience. You should do it. Yeah. So it's an interesting experience, right? So I live in San Francisco. They're all over the place, right? So we've had them for a while, and it is, in theory, it is the idea of using AI and automation to like eliminate the dangers of human driving and whatever, right? And it's a weird experience the first time you get into it and there's no driver and it's taking you to your destination. But there are some cracks in it, right? There's still some things that it doesn't quite get, right? So I had a buddy of mine, me and his daughter and my daughter, we were all going to a basketball game, and the Waymo picked him up first, and then he put in to have come and pick us up, right? So he put us as the next address. It was pulling up, but I think it had the address wrong. It was going to stop like one house over, but then in front of my house, like, he gets out. So they open the door to get out to come let us know that they're there. So we come down, but we get out of the car, and then all of a sudden the doors lock because it's confused because he got out before he was supposed to. And then it actually drove off a little bit, and then in the door, we couldn't unlock the doors, because it was all confused by the fact that we had this extra pickup. So he had to contact customer support and like explain the situation. And the customer support said, "All right, you have to go walk up to the next house and be next to it, and then we'll manually unlock it." So there was that, and then we go to the game, and then like it gets confused because when you go to a basketball game, like certain streets are closed, and it couldn't handle that. So it actually took this other way that was completely out of the way. So, if you're in an Uber or a taxi and it's going the wrong way, you can say, "Hey, I know the city, go this way." In a Waymo, you can't do that. I can't change the route, right? And the Waymo thinks it's smart, but the reality is the road's not really closed. I can be dropped off there. It's blocked off for people to go to the game, but you can still drop me there. But I couldn't explain that, and we had to call support again. And then they said, we can't change the route. Just be patient, right? So it's just like, there are some things where, in theory, in a perfect world, fully autonomous is going to be great because it will be safer or whatever, but there are certain things that you still need to work out. And what's also interesting, and I found that interesting, is Waymo is AI, but the support has to still be human-driven, right? Because you still need a human to help support that, right? So we can never get to a world where everything's going to be completely AI because you need the human element to help with that stuff.
In Brazil,
yeah,
I interviewed a woman there, and she 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 said 9 out of 10 of her customer care responses are AI,
Yeah.
and they outscore for customer satisfaction.
Okay.
And then what I really got to there was, in her case, the AI that we really like, we don't even know it's AI.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. In Dubai, I order groceries from this place, and sometimes I get a note from the driver that says, "Hey, a little bit of traffic. I'm about 5 minutes late." I'm like, "No problem, bro."
Yeah.
They get there, and then she was saying that wasn't your driver.
Yeah.
That was.
Oh, it was. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's great."
That's great. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're getting there, but all right. So that's a really interesting take on things.
Yeah.
What should I do? What should the audience do? What should I do?
Yeah.
To keep this feeling of care in my work as I go across the world.
I mean, I think one thing I do want to say, kind of following up on that other point, is about the AI being better, right? I think the reason that's happened, getting back to kind of the traditional call center environment, one of the reasons why AI might score higher is, and I'm hoping this is going to change, but over the last many years, our agents have so many rules and so many restrictions about what they can say, what they can't say. They have scripted responses. So what I like to say is that agents have already been robots because we treat them like robots, right? Because we don't allow them to like think critically themselves, do the right thing for the customer. So when you make an agent act like a robot, obviously an actual AI might score higher because you're not taking advantage of what the human can deliver. So I think the message I would say for you and your audience, and people that are in charge of call centers, humans have a unique capability to empathize, to think critically, to like think outside the box, to do the right thing for the customer. Empower that, because if you don't do that and you treat them like robots, then they replace them all with AI because you're treating them like robots anyway, right?
Mic drop. That was great. Raj, thanks for being on the show today.
Of course. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for being part of this journey with us. We hope these conversations challenge your thinking and inspire you to explore new paths. There's so much more to discover. Keep listening, dive into more episodes, and let's continue this adventure together.